All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started today. It seems like a lot of you are going to be watching this on the replay, so I'm not going to hold anybody up, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. So first of all, today's class is on the power of influence, and you guys can thank my good friend Jess Bolay here for the suggestion of this topic. She and I talk about, we are both Capricorns, we're both high Ds, and twos on the Enneagram scale. So we're a lot alike in a lot of ways. And we were talking last week about just our position in real estate. And this topic applies to lots of industries. Today, I'm going to specifically talk about how it applies to real estate, but I can give you thousands of examples about how this actually applies in multiple industries. And at the end of the day, if you're in any type of position of sales, you likely have some type of power of influence. And what we want to do is we want to talk about your role of that power of influence that you have, using those powers for good instead of evil. And then also the role that your power of influence has on how you transact with people. So specifically, I'm going to talk about real estate, but just know that this can apply to lots of different industries. It can apply to lots of different types of businesses as well, and maybe just in your personal relationships. So first of all, before we get started, let me tell you guys who I am in case you don't know me. My name is Laura Dahl. I am a second generation realtor. My son is a third generation realtor. I have been doing this for 25 years, I think going on my 26th year this year. I have been a broker in Virginia, South Carolina, Tennessee, and now in North Carolina. I have also owned two real estate firms in my career, and I operate currently a team in Western North Carolina and Nashville, Tennessee. So if you have any business you need to refer my way, I'm your gal. I also am a national growth coach for realtors all over the country. And I like to tell people that I'm in what I call the legacy phase of my career, trying to leave my thumbprint on our industry and have a positive impact on realtors all across the country, teaching them to elevate their level of service and to run their businesses like businesses so that they can generate more consistent income. Let's talk a little bit about influence and what it is. Influence is the ability to affect someone's thoughts, feelings, or actions. The ability to affect someone's thoughts, feelings, or actions. You have some effect on someone. And that is just based on you either listening, you giving advice, you offering solutions, you preparing and presenting options to them, educating people so that they can make informed decisions. But your input, your fingerprint on it, as you might say, has the ability to affect someone's thoughts, feelings, or actions. It's not about control. It is not about controlling others. It's not about controlling the outcome. It is about you and your influence and how that affects people. It's really more about inspiring them to take action or to trust your guidance. Especially in real estate, guys, we often deal with people who don't think very highly of us. They don't respect our profession. They think we're overpaid as it is. They think that we get paid so much money just to open doors. They don't realize that we do 183 other things throughout a transaction from start to finish. And so really, we have a responsibility to ourselves and to our clients and to our industry to, guide people to make the best decision for them. We are more of a consultant. We are more of someone who is there to present the options and allow our clients to decide. But we also have influence. They are putting a lot of trust in us. They are putting a lot of their hard-earned money, their fears, their excitement, all of their emotions are tied up into this transaction, whether that is real estate or any other service or whatever it is. These people, your clients and your customers, come to you looking for guidance, looking for you to give them all of the information, give them some guidance about which way you think that they should go, and then helping them make their decisions or to take action. And so you do have a powerful responsibility. You also have the ability to sway people one way or another, depending on your skill set in this department. But what I want you to know is that it's not about controlling people. It is not having the influence so that you get your way. It is not about having an influence so that you produce the outcome that you want every time. It's really about guiding them to make the best decisions for them. And in order to do that, there has to be a level of trust, right? You don't have the influence or the ability to influence others unless there's trust first. And too often I see agents, when we go through role playing, when we talk about in coaching, when I ask questions like, well, how did you present it? What did you say? How did you ask those questions? A lot of times I see agents that are skipping a step in this influence triangle where they're presenting the information and they're expecting the client to do what they're asking them to do without the feedback, without the guidance, without the level of trust that it requires for them to respect your opinion, for them to go in the direction that you're asking them to do. So what I need you to understand is the first things first is we've got to build trust with our people. We have to make sure that they understand that we are competent, that we are confident in the advice that we're giving, and that we are giving them all the information that they need, the good, the bad, and the ugly, for them to make an informed decision, to either take action or to make a very big decision regarding moving forward or closing the sale or whatever it is, or how they feel about it. Right? So when it comes to feelings, especially specifically in real estate, we often joke in our industry that we wear so many hats that sometimes we are their accountant, their, counselor, their therapist, what have you, because this is an emotional process. People buy houses because it's the right fit, or it's a great investment, but they buy houses based on the way it feels. They walk into a house and they know instantly this feels like home. This feels good. This neighborhood, this area of town feels good. And they're already acting on their feelings and emotions. In order for us, and what happens is our clients sometimes will get heated and they will also, get reactive to situations that occur in the timeline of the process of the transaction. And our job is to kind of remind them like, hey, let's stick to the facts. Let's remind them of what the data says. Let's remind them of what your plan is. Let's remind them of what the negotiation strategy is, or what the pricing strategy was, or the process of buying, and that this is common or normal. They're going to look to you because they don't do this every day. They're going to look to you to guide them about how to keep their feelings in check. And that's where you come in. And so sometimes it does feel like we are their therapist. Sometimes it feels like we are their counselor or whatever it is. And that's because they don't do this every day. Their feelings and emotions are running high. And we have the ability to influence sometimes their thoughts or their feelings about things. But in order to do that, we have to have a first layer of trust. Why does influence matter so much, and specifically in real estate, but why does it matter? Obviously, people are free thinkers. Your clients are going to be able to get mad when they want, to get sad when they want, to be emotionally attached to things. But really, truthfully, buyers and sellers rely on your expertise to make big financial decisions. Again, like I said, this is not something they do every day. This is something you do every day. They may only sell their home that they raised their children in and loved pets or whatever in one time in their lifetime. They're not equipped to handle the emotions that come with that. And you are, because you've seen it many times. They're relying on your professionalism, your expertise, and your experience to help them navigate the things that bring up big feelings. They are looking for someone they feel confident following. And this is where in the beginning of a relationship with a client, you have to evaluate, do I have the trust factor with them? Do they trust me? Or are they still keeping me at arm's distance? Are they questioning all of my advice already? Do they feel like they already know more than I do? Do they trust that you know what you're doing? And have you demonstrated enough competence in your field to make them feel secure that your advice is going to be okay if I follow it? Influence builds trust faster than facts alone. Facts are facts. You could present them in black and white. And if somebody is data driven and they are a fact finder, facts may help solidify trust in that person. But if they are not, they are relying on how their gut feels in response to you. Have you demonstrated proficiency in your area of expertise? Do you have competency in the areas that these people are requiring you to have? Right? Those things build trust. The trust comes from them knowing that you know what you're talking about, knowing that you have a plan, knowing that you guys are on the same team, right? When they know that you're working on their behalf and that that is your priority, not your paycheck. That is what builds trust. And the faster you can build trust with the client, the faster that they are going to embrace your advice, embrace your suggestions, embrace your plans and your strategies. But you've got to have the trust first. You cannot skip from competency to action without the trust in the middle, right? I'll give you an example that I have is two agents give the same market activity report or the same market analysis on a property. As you know, I could line up 20 different agents and I could get 20 different values on what a house is because it is based on subjective opinion. It's based on evaluating the subject property against other comparable sales that are similar in style, features, and age in a specific period of time. Well, most agents have not been thoroughly trained how to conduct a proper market analysis, number one. Number two, they rely on computerized valuation models, to tell them what the house could possibly be worth, mostly because of a lack of training. Computerized valuation models do not replace the expertise and experience of a local market expert. The other part is that often there's no instruction for agents on how to add value for various upgrades. So if the house has top of the line finishes, if they have hardwood floors versus wood laminate floors, if they have tile in the bathroom versus linoleum or vinyl, if they have a fence, if they have additional square footage, most agents are not equipped with the skill set of explaining or evaluating those additions and giving proper credit because we're not appraisers, right? We know what happens in our market. We know what the average price per square foot typically lends. We can compare previously sold homes to the subject property and say, well, this sold for higher because it has these upgrades. But as far as assigning a numeric value to those upgrades, most agents are not skilled enough to do that. And so two agents could go in on the same appointment, provide a market analysis report, and you could get two different values. Now, the agent who confidently recommends a clear path forward and can explain and back up their numbers, can explain their pricing strategy, can explain what's happening in the marketplace with data and facts, and also appears to be competent and knowledgeable in their area, that is who's going to earn the listing because you're building trust with all of those things that is going to make your recommendation, they're going to feel more confident trusting your recommendation. But I could line up 15 different agents and get 15 different amounts. And that is why I always teach my coaching clients that when you go on a listing appointment, it is crucial for you to say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I don't want you to hire me based on the price that I tell you your house is worth. I want you to hire me because you believe I am the best person to market and sell your property in this market. You and I will arrive at a price together. Memorize that statement, folks. Hit pause. Go back and play that statement again. Write it down. Practice it. Make sure it flows out of your mouth confidently and smoothly. You don't want them to hire you based on the price that you told them their house is worth. You want them to hire you based on the fact that you have a specific marketing plan. You have experience. You have expertise with this type of home. You are a seller specialist. Right? Whatever the things are that you want, that's why you want them to hire you. You don't want them to hire you because you came in on your estimation of value $10,000 higher than 5 other agents. That's going to set you up for failure. So learn that phrase, hit pause, rewind, write it down, practice it, Make sure that you understand how to deliver that. I don't want you to hire me based on the price that I told you your house is worth. I want you to hire me because you believe I'm the best person to market and sell your property. You and I will arrive at a price together. If you believe that I'm the best person to market and sell your home, what's stopping us from working together? What's stopping you from hiring me and making me officially your agent, right? These are the things that I teach in my coaching classes. These are the things that I teach my agents because I don't want you to lose a listing over $5,000. I don't want you to lose a listing opportunity because you didn't share with the seller that the price is something you and I will arrive at together. All of these things are going to contribute to the influence that you have over the transaction, the influence that you have over the seller in hiring you, and the confidence and trust that you're building with them. How do realtors use influence daily? And again, I told you this is specifically for realtors, but it can be applied to any kind of industry. Number one, we use influence every day during our consultations. We want to guide our clients towards realistic expectations. We want to explain the process to them so that they understand step by step what to expect. We want to answer questions that they're going to have during these consultations about how things work and how we're going to work together. We also want to guide the transaction, and by setting realistic expectations, we are taking control over things that we can control. You're going to discuss with them how you're going to view houses, when we're going to view houses, which app do you prefer them to look at houses? How do you want them to let you know that they're ready to go look at houses? If you're on the seller side, you're going to talk to them during consultations and you're going to guide them about realistically what should they expect. When we price a property, what does the data say in the market about how much those sellers are getting of their list price? Are they getting above list price? Are they getting 98%? Are they getting offers that are between, 5 and 7% and the buyers are asking for concessions? Set the expectations up front, let them know what you're seeing in the market and explain to them what they can expect so that when it happens, they don't distrust you. When it happens, they're not confused. If I set a list price with a seller, I am going to immediately pull out data that shows them that other sellers in their zip code on average are getting 98 or 97% of list price, if that's the data. So I want to make sure I explain to them. So by setting our price at X, I want you to understand that it is very likely that you will get offers that will be Y. And Y should be a reflection of what that percentage of list price to sales price ratio is. If you don't do that, what happens is you price it at X, you do all your marketing, you actually get an offer, and the next thing that you know, the offer is less than list price. Now the seller's mad. They wouldn't be mad if you had set proper realistic expectations at the beginning. You have the ability to influence their feelings about an offer that's a little bit less than list price because that's what the houses are selling for. With the absence of that conversation, it breeds assumption. The assumption of the seller is that you're going to get 100% of the list price that you priced your house at. And that is simply not true. That's not accurate. And if I can control my client's feelings about this first offer, that this is normal, that they should expect to get an offer less than list price or above list price or whatever it is, then they are not as upset. They already knew what to expect. And that also builds trust with you. If you told them something would happen and it did, you get another check in the trust box because what you said was true. We also use influence when we price a home, when we help sellers understand the market value and the emotional value that a property could bring. We want to make sure that they understand what is happening in the marketplace. We want them to understand what percentage of list price buyers are offering. We want them to understand how their home compares to other homes on the market, not just the solds, but how does it compare to the other houses that are currently on the market, right? Because buyers are not only looking at your home, they're looking at other homes in other neighborhoods, in other zip codes, or other homes on the street. How does your home compare to those? We want to make sure that sellers understand what our pricing strategy is. What is our plan for price reductions, if at all? What is our plan when we get an offer? What is our bottom line? Right? These are things that you all have influence over why you price the things that you did, and getting a seller on board to accept your pricing strategy is going to require you to lay out the data, to lay out your pricing plan and strategy, and to explain to them what to expect. We also have influence when we are negotiating. This is the biggest part that we have influence over, whether I am negotiating terms for my client or I am negotiating with my client themselves on my fee or the timing or how long the listing agreement is or the buyer agreement is. All of those things are things that I negotiate. I have influence over those decisions when I explain to people why. When I explain to my clients why I am pricing it this way, or why I suggest crafting the offer this way, or why I suggest we list it for this number of days, there's always a reason behind it. And if you can't explain the reason, you need more training. If you cannot explain to your clients why you have picked this as a strategy, then you need more training. You need to arm yourself with the verbiage that impacts the influence that you have. We use influence daily when we are soliciting referrals, how we influence people to recommend us to other people, right? I always teach my coaching clients to publicly acknowledge any referral that you get and privately thank them, right? Privately thank them with a gift, a phone call, a text message, whatever it is that you do. But publicly thank people that refer you, because that is teaching you to teaching other people to refer to you. Other people want the public acknowledgement. Other people want the gift that you sent. Other people want to know that you appreciate them referring people to you. We have an ability to influence people by just being a good human, teaching people why they should refer you to their friends. What expertise do you have? How is it that you operate that's different than other people? Why do they earn your referrals? How is it that you treat people that's differently than others? How do you roll out the red carpet for your clients? How do you protect your clients? These are all things that will influence people and how they refer you to their friends and family and coworkers, but you have the opportunity to work on how that happens. You have the opportunity to influence people to believe that you are the best choice for that. And that is going to come from trust, education, and competency. And did you demonstrate competency? Did you demonstrate that they can trust you with their referrals? How you take care of their people? Do you keep the person that referred you in communication? When I receive a referral from another agent, I try to give weekly updates to that referral agent, letting them know where we are in the process. We're still looking at houses. We're struggling to find what they're looking for, or we've got it listed, or we're prepping to go on the market. Keeping the person that referred you the business in communication about where they are along the way shows them what kind of person you are. It shows them how you're earning those referrals. And it continues to build trust with that person. Remember, and I'll say this again for the second time in this show, is the absence of communication breeds assumption. I don't want them to make assumptions about how I operate. I want to be in control of that. I want to influence how they feel and how they think. I want to influence the decisions that they make. And if I'm keeping them informed along the way, if I am sharing with them the progress that we're in, then I don't have to worry about them assuming that I'm not doing a good job. I don't have to worry about them assuming how I took care of their coveted cousin or coworker or their boss, right? The other part that we use influence daily is on our social media. You are responsible for building a brand that people want to engage with. You are responsible for building a brand that people want to refer their people to. You are responsible for building a brand that is approachable, that is professional, that is competent, right? We are responsible for putting out in the universe how we want to be perceived. That is your influence. That is your ability to shape the thoughts and feelings and actions of others. If you are constantly putting out content that makes it appear as though you only deal with a certain price range, you only deal with a certain section of people. People are going to assume things. Remember the absence of communication, right? I want you to understand that you have the ability to become a person of interest online that is the same in person. But you have to create a brand online that people like, that they trust, that they immediately feel calm with. Are you the kind of person that disarms people and makes them feel safe and secure and they trust you easily? Or do you have to work twice as hard at that? Maybe you just don't have a likable face. I've met people like this. But you have the ability to become a person of interest that people want to refer to others. Most of that is going to be dependent on your actions, how you show up. Most of that is going to depend upon what you let people see. Do you explain to people how you treat their referrals? Do they even know what you do? Do they understand how you roll out the red carpet? When someone sends a relocation client to me, the first thing I do is send them a relocation package that has all kinds of material about the area that they're moving to. It has local newspaper, it has local magazines, it has an events calendar, it has information from the Chamber of Commerce or the Visitor Center. It is a big welcome packet that just says, I can't wait for you to learn more about the community that I live in, and I know that you're going to love living here. Let me show you all the reasons why. If that is not a part of your normal process, are you skipping steps that build trust, that demonstrate your professionalism, that put you in a different category than others? It's not about the big things sometimes. It's about the little things that build trust step by step. There is positive influence versus negative influence. I will tell you here, I am only about trying to teach you positive influence. I want your influence to be empowering. I want your clients to feel empowered with the decision that they're making and empowered because they're armed with data. They're armed with information they can trust to be accurate. They know that you're competent, right? Our influence is also about educating them. Do they understand what to expect? Do they know what the process looks like? Do they know what this is going to look like? And then are you building trust along the way with every interaction that you have with them? Is it positive? Is it proactive? Or is it reactive? Is it laden with education, information, and answering questions? Are you able to demonstrate your proficiency and your capabilities to them? The negative types of influence are going to be manipulation, fear tactics, pressure. That has not ever been the kind of salesperson that I am, and that's not what I teach. Examples of the positive influence obviously are going to be helping a first-time buyer feel confident despite having fear, right? And that's because you've armed them with the data to feel good about their decision. They feel confident about the numbers. They feel confident that this is the right house for them because you've reminded them about what their search criteria is and how this house checks all of those boxes. You've reminded them about how they felt when they walked in the house. That's not manipulation, that's education. Those are sales tactics to help you remind the client because they do let emotions get in the way sometimes. They let their fears, they let their anxieties, they let the opinions of others influence their decisions. What you want is your opinion based on data and based on facts and your expertise to override the opinion of Uncle Tom, Uncle Eddie, that sold real estate 35 years ago in another state. You want your opinion to be the one they trust. You want your influence to be the one that matters to them. The only way that they're going to take your advice over Uncle Eddie's is for them to believe that you know what you're talking about, for them to understand that you are competent, right? For them to understand that this is what you do every day. It will be demonstrated in the words that you use, the patience that you demonstrate to them, the education that you provide to them, the demonstration, if you have to actually show them the data or show them other houses. Those are all positive influences. Negative influences and examples would be pushing a buyer into a home that they just don't love just because you need a paycheck. Or knowing that your client said they do not want to live on a busy road and you continue to show them houses that are on a main road with no care or concern about why they didn't want a busy road. Or pointing out something that you see in the house that you know could be a problem for them, but you stay silent because you don't want to jeopardize the sale. That's not integrity. That is not a positive influence. That is you setting aside the goals and things that your clients told you they need and putting your interests above theirs. Those are also trust eroding behaviors. You build trust by pointing out things to the client that you think that they should be concerned about or that need further evaluation. You point out things to them to ask just to make sure that they have considered the thing that they're questioning or the thing that they're overlooking that they told you emphatically that they did not want. People will change their mind on their search criteria. It happens all the time. Your job is not to question whether or not this is the right fit for them. It's to make sure that they feel safe and secure in their decision, that they've thought it through, that you heard them in your initial consultation and you remember them saying that they did not want X, Y, or Z. Have they thought about that? What you don't want is for a buyer to feel pressure, go under contract, and 2 days later you get the call that they want to terminate. That will erode your reputation in your community and will also erode the trust that the other agent has in working with you. And a lot of those things can be avoided. You can avoid a lot of terminations by making sure you ask enough questions on the front end. Make sure that you're educating your client about why these things matter or what you're looking for. Making sure that they know you're working together as a partner with them. You're on their team. How to strengthen your influence? Number one, be authentic. Be you. You are the special sauce to this. There is a reason people are hiring you and not someone else. It could be because they have instant trust. The person that referred you to them, they have a lot of respect for, and they had a great experience and they trust their recommendation. You might walk into a door with an instant client that already trusts you because of how you were connected. But you will continue to build trust by being authentically you, showing up as the person that people can trust. People can spot fake energy fast. They know when you're being fake. Be consistent. Show up. Do things consistently for every client so that you're producing the same results no matter who the client is. If you want continued repeat referral business, be consistent with how you show up and what your process looks like. If everyone has the same experience, then the outcome should be the same regardless of what happened in the transaction, because every transaction is different and things will go sideways quickly. But if you have a streamlined process and a system of how you operate, you can guarantee that the results will be similar. Educate first. People follow those who teach them, not those who sell to them. No one likes to be sold. Your job isn't actually to make sales. The houses typically sell themselves. Your job is to navigate the other 183 things that need to be done. The orchestration, the negotiation, the information, educating your clients so they can make informed decisions. At the end of the day, we don't make decisions for our clients. We influence their decisions based on the advice that we give them. They are looking to us because we do this every day and they don't. They are looking to us for guidance. They are asking us to help influence their decision. But in order to help make the best decision, they've got to be armed with the facts. They have to be armed with the information that is going to make them feel good about the decision. You don't want them to make the decision under pressure and turn around later and terminate, or feel bad that they bought a house that they really didn't love. They felt like they had to move forward because they didn't feel safe trusting you with their feelings. I also want you to show proof. Share client wins, share testimonials, share success stories, show people and demonstrate your proven results. Demonstrate your competency on a daily level, right? And the last part is listen more than you talk. Listen to what your clients are telling you. Take really good notes at your consultation about what their fears are, what their feelings are. How do they feel about buying this house or selling this house? I had a listing appointment once where, unfortunately, my seller client's child had passed away in that home that she needed to sell. And she was emotionally attached to this property. And I did not ask the right questions during this listing consultation and this listing appointment. I needed to ask how she felt about selling this home, because I did not ask that, and we got it under contract and she did not want to accept the offer because she wasn't really actually ready to sell. She had not dealt with her feelings of letting go of her daughter and the memories that she had in that home. And that is why we need to ask more questions. We need to do more listening, and we need to understand what their needs and emotions are centered around buying or selling a house before you give advice. I'll tell you one more quick story about that. I had built really great rapport with a buyer client of mine, and we were looking at houses, and throughout the week we had great banter back and forth with each other. And we walked into one house, and it was very typical for the houses that we saw, where they would ask me my opinion. What did I think? And obviously, I treat all of my clients like they're my friends. I am very authentic and real with them. I will always be honest with them if they ask me my thoughts. But this particular instance, we walked into a house that I felt like was a dog. It was literally one of the ugliest houses we had looked at. It did not meet most of the criteria that they said they were interested in. And I just didn't feel like it was the right fit for them based on what they told me they wanted. I made a crucial mistake that day of giving my opinion immediately when we walked in the door. And I said, "Oh, this house is ugly." They fired me on the spot. And they actually told me that it was the only house that they liked out of all the ones that I showed them. And because I said I didn't like it, they were worried and they did not have confidence that I was the right person to represent them to buy that house. And I learned a very valuable lesson. You do have influence. They want to know what you think, but you might want to wait to see what they think before you give your opinion. And is your opinion based on facts of what they told you, things that you learned about these people during your consultation or throughout the process? But make sure you understand what their needs are versus wants, and what their opinions are before you give them advice that is merely based on opinion. Is it something that could be backed up in fact? Stick to the facts. Conduct yourself professionally, and then you won't have to worry about being fired for giving an opinion that they didn't like, right? Be authentically you. Be consistent. Show up how you want to be perceived. Educate people so that they feel informed and they feel good about their decisions. Explain to them all of their options. Be transparent about what their options are. Of course, you don't want your client to terminate the contract, but is that one of their options? Yes. You want to make sure that they are making informed decisions based on all of their options. Don't skip over the option that you fear. Make sure they understand what that option is and what the repercussions could be if they choose that option. Once you've laid out all of the information, it is up to the client to decide. But you can put your head on the pillow knowing that you gave them all the information they needed to make the best decision for them, and they understood the consequences. You're going to build better relationships and more trust by laying it all out and giving them the pros and cons and letting them decide for themselves, rather than just saying, well, this is what I would do. That doesn't have a lot of weight for people who are skeptical, for people who don't trust you already, right? That doesn't have a lot of weight about how to navigate that moving forward. Make sure you understand what it is that they need and what they want. So I have some questions for you to think about. And you can always reach out to me and tell me what you think. You can start a chat. You can comment below in the YouTube channel. You can reach out to me directly through a DM. But how have you been positively influenced by someone in business? What stood out to you that you listened to that person's advice? How did they make you feel that you thought that advice was good? And then I would also ask you, have you ever been negatively influenced? Were you pressured by somebody to make a decision you didn't feel comfortable? What did you learn from that experience? What can you apply that has happened to you in a negative way that caused you to erode trust or to not feel like that person knew what they were talking about? What did you learn from that? And then I would ask you, how can you shift from selling to guiding people more in your client conversations? When you feel yourself being salesy or a salesperson, how can you change that narrative or change the words that you use to feel more like a consultant and guiding people to make the right decision for them rather than pushing them to the decision that you want? How can you switch from selling to guiding? A lot of that is going to be in the words that you choose. A lot of that is going to be in the trust that you build in the beginning. A lot of that is going to be in how you show up, right? So I'll leave you with this one question, which is, what small change could you make this week to increase your influence? Can you change the way you influence the community around you, that you influence your network to earn your referrals, that you influence people to refer you, that you influence clients to hire you, that you influence agents to come work for you, that you influence somebody to shop at your store, whatever it is, or to partake in your services, or to show up for an event that you're having? What small ways can you use your influence for good instead of evil? And how does your influence impact the bottom line, your satisfaction with your job, with your life? In what ways are you using your influence for good? Thank you so much for coming today. I will tell you guys that I am offering a VIP Power Week that is available. The biggest thing that I hear from a lot of agents right now is that they simply cannot afford coaching. And so I tried to come up with a solution that would allow you to get maximum results for the minimal amount of investment. So I do have a VIP Power Week available that is $479 for 7 days of intensive one-on-one coaching. During those 7 days, we will determine an action plan for you of where your business is coming from. We will look at your messaging and your marketing to make sure that those match. We will provide a social media plan for you for the next 30 days that is specific to our action plan. And then we will actually throw gasoline on your lead generation strategies and help you choose the strategies that are best to help you build your business. If this is something that you're interested in, you could message me the word Power Week and I will send you the information to get that to you. You can also find it in the link for the show notes if you need that as well. Thanks so much for being here today. I hope that this session was helpful to you. Let's work on changing the perspective of people and why they need realtors, but let's also work about the power of influence that we have and how we show up to do what it is that we are built to do with authenticity and trust and integrity. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.